You know that feeling, that wave that just washes over you right before a big test? Or maybe a huge presentation at work?
Hmm.
Any situation where it feels like everything's on the line, and suddenly your heart isn't just beating, it's like pounding.
Yeah, thumping against your ribs.
Exactly. Your stomach's in knots. Maybe you actually feel sick, like you might throw up. And all that stuff you knew cold moments ago.
Gone. Just vanishes.
Poof. Mind completely blank. Even though somewhere inside, you prepared. You know it.
It's so incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Because you put the work in, but then this intense fear, this worry test anxiety, performance anxiety, whatever you call it,
Mhm.
it just kind of hijacks your brain, stops you showing what you can really do.
It really does. It feels like a physical barrier almost, as much as a mental one.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening who's felt that, it's way more than just like a few butterflies.
For sure. Now, for this deep dive, you shared a whole bunch of sources with us looking at exactly this problem. Personal stories, advice shared online, but also some pretty solid research, too.
That's right. I thought it was important to get that mix, the real world experience
Yeah.
alongside what the science is telling us. It gives a much more well-rounded picture.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, our mission here is to dig into your sources, unpack what they're showing us about how to get past that panic feeling, how to face those moments feeling, well, calmer, right? More in control, confident even.
Exactly. That's the goal. Feeling capable and ready. Let's jump in.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, as the sources kind of collectively pointed out, sometimes the best place to start is right where you began those immediate physical feelings. The racing heart, feeling sick.
Tackling the body's reaction first.
Yeah, because these aren't just in your head. They're real physical responses. Your nervous system is kicking into high gear. And if you can get a handle on the physical side, it sort of creates breathing room,
Yeah.
space to deal with the mental stuff.
Okay, like your body's sounding this huge alarm, and the first step is to try and turn down the volume a bit.
Precisely. And the simplest, most recommended technique, honestly, it popped up everywhere. Personal stories, advice sites like Very Well Mind, even public speaking tips. It's breathing. Deep, slow, intentional breathing.
It sounds almost too simple sometimes, doesn't it? Just breathe.
It really does. But there's some serious physiology behind it. See, when you get anxious, your breathing naturally gets shallow and quick,
Right.
and that just feeds the stress response.
Yeah.
But if you consciously slow it down, like deep breath in through the nose, maybe hold it a sec, then a long, slow exhale out through the mouth, you're actually flipping a switch. You're activating the parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay, the rest and digest system, people call it.
That's the one. It directly counteracts that fight or flight panic mode.
Yeah.
It tells your heart, okay, slow down. It helps your muscles relax. It creates this physical sense of calm that can actually interrupt the anxiety feedback loop.
Ah, I see. So it's not just a distraction, it's like sending a biological signal. False alarm, stand down.
You got it. It gives you that crucial pause, that moment to just ground yourself. And beyond just breathing, several sources also really flag some basic physical needs. Things that sound obvious, but are so easy to neglect when you're stressed.
Like sleep. I saw that mentioned.
yeah.
One note even quoted a professor saying something like, a well-rested student who studied moderately is often better off than someone who pulled an all-nighter cramming.
It's absolutely true. Being sleep deprived just tanks your ability to think clearly, remember things, manage emotions. It basically lowers your anxiety threshold significantly.
Makes sense.
And alongside sleep, hydration. Just sipping water can actually be calming. And making sure you've eaten something ideally balanced, not just sugar, to give your brain and body steady fuel.
Very well.
Might really emphasize these basic self-care things. If you're running on empty physically, you're way more vulnerable to anxiety.
Okay, so immediate tools, breathing, foundational stuff, sleep, water, food. Got it. But then your sources took us somewhere really interesting, a connection maybe people don't immediately make with test anxiety. What you eat.
Yeah, this was fascinating. It came through really strongly in that big research review you looked at, the one from PubMed Central. It synthesized just tons of studies looking specifically at diet and anxiety. Now, it's complex, lots of different study types involved, but the patterns they found are pretty striking.
Okay, intriguing. So what did the review find might be linked to less anxiety? What kind of food should people maybe focus on?
Well, generally, diets higher in fruits and vegetables came out looking good,
Yeah.
consistently associated with lower anxiety. Same for omega-3 fatty acids, the healthy fats you get in fatty fish, flax seeds, walnuts.
Okay.
They also looked at broader dietary patterns and found that generally healthy ways of eating, meaning more whole, unprocessed foods, less sugar, less refined carbs, seem to be protective. Oh, and interestingly, just eating breakfast regularly showed up in some studies as being linked to less anxiety.
Fruits, veggies, healthy fats, breakfast. It sounds like good general health advice, but seeing it specifically tied to anxiety in the research is definitely noteworthy. What about the whole gut health thing? That seems to be everywhere now.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a big piece. The review found links between lower anxiety and probiotics,
Yeah.
the good gut bacteria,
Right.
and by extension, prebiotics, the fiber that feeds those good bacteria, plus just generally eating more fiber and fermented foods. Things linked to a healthier gut microbiome.
Mm.
The sources propose this gut-brain connection is a likely way diet influences anxiety.
The gut microbiome. Can you explain that simply? What is that connection?
Sure. Think of your gut as having this huge, complex ecosystem of bacteria and other tiny organisms, trillions of them.
Wow.
And they don't just help digest food. We're learning they communicate constantly with your brain through nerves and hormones and other pathways. It's called the gut-brain axis. And the idea is that a healthy, diverse gut community, which is heavily influenced by your diet, can positively impact your brain function and mood, including anxiety levels.
So what's happening in your gut could directly affect how anxious you feel. That's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is a rapidly evolving area of research. Now, on the flip side, what did the review connect with potentially more anxiety? What might we want to limit?
Yeah, what were the dietary villains, so to speak?
Well, diets high in unhealthy fats were associated with more anxiety. Also, not getting enough tryptophan, that's an amino acid precursor to serotonin, and maybe inadequate protein overall. And then a big one, high intake of sugar and refined carbohydrates.
That one probably rings true for a lot of people, that jittery, anxious feeling after a sugar rush, maybe.
Exactly. The review also pointed to generally unhealthy dietary patterns, lots of processed foods, high sugar, fried stuff being linked to higher anxiety. Snacking, interestingly, also showed up with that association in some observational studies.
Snacking.
Yeah, though the why might be complex there. And then some specific things mentioned were caffeine.
The pre-exam coffee.
Might be counterproductive for some. Also, artificial sweeteners like aspartame, saccharin, sorbitol, and MSG were flagged in relation to anxiety in the reviewed literature.
Wow, so that big coffee or sugary energy drink you grab right before showtime might actually be making things worse.
The research reviewed certainly suggests it's possible, yeah. Now, it's really important, and the review itself stressed this, to add some nuance here.
Okay.
A lot of these studies are done in animals, and animal results don't always perfectly map onto humans. Also, many are observational studies. They look at large groups and find connections, correlations.
So they show that two things happen together, but not necessarily that one causes the other.
Exactly. Correlation isn't causation. For instance, maybe people who are already anxious tend to reach for more sugary comfort foods. So the anxiety influences the diet choice, not just the other way around. The review called this a bidirectional relationship.
I see. A two-way street. Anxiety affects diet, diet affects anxiety.
Right. And defining healthy or unhealthy diets isn't always consistent across studies either. So it's not quite as simple as eat this, avoid that, anxiety solved. But the overall pattern strongly suggests that what you eat regularly can definitely play a significant role in your baseline anxiety levels. It's another piece of the puzzle.
Definitely seems worth paying attention to. Okay, so we've covered the physical side, breathing, basic self-care, even diet. Let's shift gears now. What about the mental game? How do the sources suggest you can, train your brain to handle the pressure better?
Right, the psychological strategies.
Yeah.
And a really big theme coming through from sources like Reddit threads and Very Well Mind was this idea of perspective and acceptance.
Acceptance. That sounds a bit passive, maybe?
It can sound that way, but it's actually quite active. It's about accepting that, you know what, you don't have to be perfect every single time. You don't have to be the absolute best. Your value as a person isn't tied to one test score or one presentation's reception. Accepting that mistakes might happen or that you might not get the exact outcome you want can paradoxically take a huge amount of pressure off.
So it's like letting go of that desperate need for a perfect outcome. Instead of, I absolutely must ace this or I'm worthless, it's more like, okay, I'm going to give this my best shot right now, and whatever happens, I'll deal with it.
Precisely. It reframes the whole thing. And linked to that, something highlighted especially on Reddit, is actively dealing with those negative thought spirals. The ones, I'm going to fail, this is going to be awful, everyone will see I'm an idiot.
Yeah. And when you're anxious, those thoughts can feel so real and overwhelming, like fighting them is impossible.
It really can feel like that. One source even described it as a relentless dogfight. And acknowledge that progress isn't always a straight line. But the advice is, first, recognize those thoughts for what they are, just thoughts, not necessarily reality. And then deliberately refuse to engage with them.
Don't feed the trolls in your own head.
Kind of. Pull your focus back, consciously, to the task right in front of you. Pour your mental energy into answering this question, making this point in your talk, instead of being sucked into worries about the past or future.
It takes practice, I imagine.
Definitely. It's a skill. Another related technique from Reddit, which I thought was really smart, even if it sounds a bit strange initially, is worst-case scenario planning.
Thinking about the worst thing that could happen, doesn't that just make you more anxious?
You'd think so. But the idea is to realistically think it through. Okay, what actually happens if I bomb this test? Or if the presentation is a disaster? Usually when you really map it out, maybe you have to retake the class, maybe it's embarrassing for a day, maybe you miss out on one opportunity, but others exist. The actual consequences are rarely as catastrophic as the vague, looming dread makes them feel.
Right. The fear is often worse than the reality.
Exactly. And having a concrete sense of the worst case, maybe even a simple plan B, can make the fear feel much less powerful and unknown. It demystifies it.
Okay, I can see how that could work. What else on the mental front?
Visualization came up, especially in the source about public speaking, A Ventistry by Alicia.
Like athletes picturing the winning shot.
Very much like that. Before the exam or presentation, take some quiet time to vividly imagine yourself succeeding. See yourself feeling calm during the test, easily remembering the answers. Picture yourself on stage, feeling confident, connecting with people, speaking clearly.
Make it detailed.
Yeah, the more sensory detail you can include what you see, hear, feel, the better. It helps create a positive mental rehearsal, like laying down a pathway for success in your brain.
That public speaking source had some other useful angles too, didn't it? Like focusing outward.
Yes, that's a great one for presentations especially. Instead of getting trapped in your own head, focusing on your pounding heart or sweaty palms, shift your focus to your audience. See them as just people. People who are there to listen, maybe learn something, not as scary judges.
Get out of your own head and focus on the connection or the information.
Right. It reduces that feeling of being intensely scrutinized. And another tip was just to simplify.
Simplify.
Don't overthink it all.
Blech.
You've prepared. We'll get to that. You know why you're there. For an exam, it's basically just you and the paper. For a talk, it's you sharing something with the audience. Try to strip away all the extra mental clutter and pressure you're adding. Focus on the core task.
Keep it simple. I like that. And authenticity was mentioned too, for speaking.
Hugely important. Don't feel you need to be this super polished, perfectly rehearsed robot. People actually connect more with genuine passion and, well, realness, even if that includes a little visible nervousness. Trying to be someone you're not just adds another layer of stress. Be yourself.
Okay, so manage the physical stuff, work on the mental game with perspective, thought management, visualization. And underlying all of this, pretty much every source hammered home the point that confidence really comes from being prepared.
Absolutely fundamental. It's the bedrock. All the breathing techniques and positive thinking are helpful, but if you walk into an exam or presentation knowing you haven't really learned the material or practiced, the anxiety is probably going to win because it's based on a real deficit.
So good study habits are non-negotiable.
Totally. Very well. Mine talked about setting up a regular study routine, breaking things down into smaller goals, maybe with little rewards, and crucially, minimizing distractions. Find a quiet spot. Put the phone away, like really away.
Not just on silent next to you.
Right. And the Reddit threads had some great ideas for making study more active, not just passively reading.
Yeah, I like those. Like what?
Things like constantly summarizing your notes into your own words, making up your own practice questions or practice exams. And what I really loved was the idea of pretend lecturing.
Teaching the material.
Yeah. Explain it out loud to a friend, your cat, your reflection, whoever. When you force yourself to articulate something clearly enough to teach it, you really solidify your understanding. It instantly shows you where the gaps are. Plus, it builds confidence because you're actively using the information.
That makes so much sense. You have to truly get it to explain it.
Exactly. And for presentations, the same principle applies. Practice out loud. In front of people as possible, family, friends, anyone who will listen.
Get used to saying the words.
Get used to the flow, the transitions, maybe even fielding a question or two. The more familiar it feels, the less scary the real thing becomes. It's about reducing the unknown.
So moving from just taking information in to actively processing it, using it, explaining it, that builds the confidence.
That's the core of it. It shows you deep down that you actually know this stuff.
Okay, we've got prep, mental game, physical care. What about right before, like minutes before the test starts or you walk on stage? Any last-minute tips from the sources?
Yeah, some good practical ones. Arriving early seems basic, but being rushed or lost just spikes stress. So give yourself plenty of time.
Avoid that last-minute panic. Good one.
Taking just a moment, a pause, before you begin, like before speaking, just take a breath, wait a beat, ground yourself. During a long exam, if it's allowed, taking short breaks can help reset your focus and prevent burnout.
Makes sense. Any more like personal rituals people mention?
Yeah, creating positive associations. Someone on Reddit mentioned using a specific calming scent, like an essential oil, only when studying, and then bringing that scent to the exam. Kind of a Pavlovian trigger for calm.
Interesting.
Another person talked about having a specific hype playlist they listen to beforehand to get into a confident mindset. And one strategy that might seem bold, a no-study rule on the day itself.
Whoa! No last-minute cramming. That sounds terrifying.
Right, but the logic is trust the preparation you've already done. At that point, adding more frantic cramming might just increase anxiety. Better to focus on staying calm and rested. It takes confidence in your prep, though.
Definitely. Okay, one last crucial area. We need to acknowledge that for some people, this isn't just nerves. It's severe anxiety, maybe even panic attacks that really get in the way of life.
Yes, absolutely. And the sources did address this very well. Mind specifically noted that if anxiety is persistent, severe, really debilitating, it's important to seek professional help.
Like from who?
A school counselor, your doctor, a therapist, or psychologist. There are professionals trained to help manage significant anxiety.
And did the sources mention medication at all?
It came up in some of the online discussions, yeah. People shared experiences or knowledge about things like beta blockers, which can help control the physical symptoms that racing heart, shaking. SSRIs, which are antidepressants also used for anxiety, were mentioned too, usually is more of a longer-term approach.
Okay. Any cautions mentioned alongside those?
Yes, and this is really important, especially regarding a class of drugs called benzodiazepines or benzos. While sometimes used for severe acute anxiety, the discussions highlighted that they can be habit-forming and have significant withdrawal issues.
So, potential risks to be aware of.
Definitely. It's vital to remember that medication is complex. Any decisions about it need to be made carefully with a doctor who knows your full health picture. We're just relaying what was in the sources you provided, not giving medical advice here.
Understood. Just reporting what the sources contained impartially.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's try and pull this all together then. What this deep dive into your sources really shows is that tackling test or performance anxiety isn't about like becoming totally fearless or never feeling nervous again.
Right. A little bit of adrenaline can actually be helpful to sharpen your focus.
It's about managing that overwhelming, paralyzing fear, the kind that stops you in your tracks. And it seems like it's a multi-pronged approach.
Definitely integrated. It starts with getting a handle on your physical state, using your breath, taking care of basic needs like sleep and water, and maybe even considering how your diet plays a role.
Then there's the mental work, changing your perspective, learning to accept imperfection, challenging those negative thoughts, using tools like visualization.
And none of that works nearly as well without the foundation. Solid, active preparation, really knowing your stuff.
Yeah. And these aren't just abstract ideas. They're concrete strategies pulled from the sources you brought together, real people's experiences mixed with research findings.
Exactly. Actionable things you can try.
Right. So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you listening, based on everything we've discussed from these sources today. Think about your own run-ins with this kind of anxiety and consider all these different tools, the breathing, the diet stuff, the mindset shifts, the prep methods. Which one small thing feels like it resonates most with you right now?
Just one small step.
Yeah, just one thing you could actually do before your next exam, your next presentation, your next high-stakes moment. What difference might that single step make? How could it help you feel just a little bit calmer, a little more in control? Think about what feeling truly confident means to you in that specific situation. How can taking that one insight from these sources help nudge you closer to actually feeling that way?